Hello and welcome to another edition of the Gravestone Pros here at North Country Memorials. So glad to have you guys along. We are going to be busy working in the shop trying to get some stones done and out to the cemetery. Snow is going to be coming fast, so we're going to work as quick as we can and get as much done for our customers before that old white stuff hits the ground and keeps us out of the cemetery. It's going to be a good one. Come along. Is going to be a little bit different. Going to be a lot of voiceover happening here as we did a lot of filming using time-lapse. So the first thing we're going to show you is just putting on a stencil onto a stone. We basically have to take that clear plastic back off so it will stick, and then we are going to remove the panels so that we can steel them. Some people frost, we steel because we use steel shot rather than using traditional media. So that stone there, we had to pull off the stencil we had put on because it was supposed to be an all polished die, and we had grabbed a polished 2, so that one had to be taken out and moved out of the way. So here Dad is working on pulling out a panel that is just kind of a decorative piece, a little arch that goes over the top, and then kind of a floral design on each side. And so you can see him working on that here. This time of year is very busy, so as we go through this video, you'll see we're doing different parts on different stones. You won't necessarily see the exact same stone being worked on as we're kind of jumping around because we're doing a whole group of them all at the same time, and depending on kind of what was being filmed and where we were able to go and what was able to be done, it kind of jumps around back and forth between about 4 or 5 stones here as we were working on them. So as Dad was peeling this line out, he got right to the middle and it ripped, and so he ended up having to stop, go to the other side, and do a little bit of fixing on that so that it could be properly used. So some guys do not peel their lines. I've heard a lot of guys say they leave their lines in and they do this part and keep cutting around without taking the lines out. We've just found it's easier for us to peel the outline out and then cut the mylar beneath, but I know there is other ways of doing it, and I have tried it different times, and this is the best way for me. But it's not a right and wrong thing. I think it's an opinion thing. You kind of get comfortable with what you're used to doing, and this is just the way we've most often done it. So the first stone you could see got rolled into the booth there, and Dad is just about to start the process of steeling the first one. You can see him getting his stuff ready there, making sure his gate is open and for his dust collection, and then he'll come back and start that. As he was doing that, I was just kind of moving some stones around, getting everything ready to go so that we could kind of just bang these out one right after another. And so that's why he's sort of working in the background on one thing, I'm working on another. Basically, when I'm out in the shop working, a lot of times I'm trying to keep the production flowing as much as possible. So I'm trying to do whatever little things I can to speed him up so that he can do the processes that he normally does, but just do them faster. So there are things that I am still, even though Dad spends more time in the shop than me, ultimately there are things that I am just a little better at and things that he's a little better at. So we work pretty seamlessly together, knowing which stuff he's going to do, which stuff I'm going to do. And there's stuff he doesn't like doing, and there's stuff I don't like doing. And so if it's something particularly I don't like, a lot of times he just kind of does it. And if it's something he doesn't like, I try and do it. But most of the time it works pretty good that way. So here you can see the actual steel shot process being done. You can see those black dark panels, and as we hit them with the steel shot, man, they brighten up really nice. And so that is the whole idea of this step of the process. Then once it's been steeled, you check, make sure there's no polish left. Then you go over top of it with the glue that we're seeing here. And this is just going to help. It's called a filler, actually. It's called stencil filler, and it helps the stencil adhere to the stone. I call it glue sometimes. But basically it fills in because you're making little pits and stuff in the stone a little bit as you are putting stuff in. So this kind of fills it in a little bit, and then the stencil sticks to that very, very well. The back side of the stencil is sticky, so it naturally is pretty easy. Here you can see I'm putting that long piece back in, and I had to kind of start from one side, then go back over to the other, then make a cut in the middle, because where it had ripped, it stretched. And that's one of the reasons you have that yellow on the back. That way the stencil doesn't stretch when you pull on it. It keeps everything there and keeps it all rigid. So that is quite nice. So we're going to jump from this stone, and we're going to jump over to another stone which we had done. And you can see me doing the same process, gluing the panel back in, or putting stencil filler on and then putting the panel back in, just like that. Very easy. And then I'm going to peel the letters out. This process is called weeding. It is one of my favorite things to do in the monument shop. I don't know why, but I enjoy working with the rubber, pulling stuff out, and seeing the letters and the design kind of come about. So we're getting prepped here for the sandblast part. It's always been hard to film sandblasting, and so I was trying to get light in there. We brought an extra light in, put that up, and trying to get it so that we could see. It's still very tough to see. But I'm trying, and we will work and keep working at getting better, so we can really show you this process here where we're actually engraving in and doing the actual engraving into the stone. You can see as the blaster comes across, it removes that yellow mylar very quickly. Pretty much a single pass will do that, and once all that mylar is gone, it is then just eating into the granite. You can also see the stencil turns from the light color that it is to a dark color. All the friction and of whatnot of the sand hitting that stencil actually heats that stencil up, and that is, I call it burning, but it doesn't really burn the stencil. It's just, it changes the color. It does change the texture of that stencil a little bit, makes it a little softer once you're done blasting than it was before. It's normally a little stiffer to begin with, but you can see it's going across and then taking out all the yellow. That way it can start really engraving. And even on that first pass, it is doing a little bit of engraving. But that's one way you can tell if a stencil has been blasted or not, is that color change. See the top versus the bottom right now, just that strip left. That's a big indicator right there. So you can see the automatic blaster just goes back and forth very nicely and makes very consistent passes, which gives you a very consistent result on your blasting. So we really like that. And here you can see we've kind of jumped ahead and still going and doing the same thing. And then we'll jump ahead a little bit more, and you can tell, especially on those top letters, there is a little more depth shown in there as it's starting to really cut in. And again, like I said, we will continue to try and get some better footage of this whole part of the process. Still haven't figured out the best way to do it. Sandblast abrasive is very tough, of course, on lenses and camera equipment and that kind of thing. So how to actually do it and keep my camera gear protected, that I'm not totally sure how to properly do without just eating away gear from the abrasive that's bouncing around inside of there. Here you can see some of the final passes, and you're really starting to see the depth on those letters. Hey guys, I just want to jump in here and say thank you so much for all the support. Really appreciate everybody that's been subscribing, and it really does mean a lot and is so helpful. If you've been watching this channel and you enjoy what you're watching, I would invite you to subscribe. And if you really want to support us, send a link to a friend and tell them, hey, check these guys out. Somebody that you think might enjoy this as well. That would be amazing. Mineral spirits works pretty good for getting stuff off and kind of wash, scrub, let it soak in a little bit, starts breaking stuff down, and kind of keep going. Once it's all broke down real good, then you can rinse off with water and you have a nice clean stone. So the basically all he's done since you saw last him blasting was to peel the stencil off and then go ahead and scrub and go. As you're scrubbing on these, when you first start, these panels are going to be real white, and as you take and put the stuff on, you'll start to see all of a sudden that glue that was kind of holding, it starts sliding down. You'll start to see it running down. You'll see lines kind of, and that's when you know it's starting to really break them down, and that's a good clue that you're ready to start probably another scrub. And then once you really have it off to the point where it looks like this, where it's coming out nearly clear with your cleaner, then you switch over to water. So here Dad is power washing the stones off. Once we get everything washed off and all the solvent has done its work, we can go ahead and wash the stones and get all of the solvent off, as well as any remaining glue, and the power washer is certainly the best way to do that. Dad's going to bring the truck over here, and you can start to see those panels are starting to dry. Going to get set up so that he can move some stones around. Mostly we want to get everything ready and get loaded so that he can take and get these stones that were finished, get them right done and out to the cemetery. This time of year, you know, it looks nice out there. It is actually a beautiful day, but it is starting to get very cold, and we know snow could come and be here for the rest of the winter for us at any moment now. So we are into the middle of November, and things will not hold forever. So always hard to tell when that change is going to happen, where you can't get out in cemeteries anymore. But for us, we still are able to, and we're grateful. A lot of these stones that are getting set are ones that I had already warned customers earlier in the year, hey, not sure that we'll be able to get to this year, but by the time your stone comes, it's going to be kind of late in the fall, and we'll do our best, but we make no promises. So I would always rather under-promise and over-deliver. That's the best way.
We've arrived at the cemetery. I say we because I got my helper with me today. And here's the foundation for the stone. I'll give you a look at that in a second here. All right, and this is the base for it. We'll get that off and put a time lapse on for you. You can watch us get her set.
So here we have Dad setting this stone. Got Castle there helping him, which is always nice. They had to remove the forms on this one, and then they were setting this stone, and just on the other side of the truck is actually where the other stone is going to be going that he's got on there. So he did both of them, but he only filmed just this one to show us, and he's just about done setting. Looking nice out there.
Okay. Set.
Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was educational as well as entertaining. That is always my goal here. This week has been crazy. As you know, we broke 1,000 subscribers, and that was amazing. But what I did not expect was that our subscriber count was just gonna keep going crazy. At the time of this filming, we have 1,159 people that are subscribed, and so I want to say thank you again. You guys have blown me away this week, and I really appreciate it. I have not gotten to a lot of different comments and stuff, but I will be getting to them. It's just been a busy week as we've been trying to get a lot of stones done and out to the cemetery before this weather changes on us. So thank you. We will see you all next time.